All right. Fantastic. Welcome, everyone. Paul Tranny here. I'm going to dive into creating some characters, basically bringing Illustrator and Photoshop files to life, basically using Character Animator. So please say hello to me. Would love to hear from you. I see YL here. And we'll see others join in soon as well. So good to have you here, Paul Tranny. Getting back from vacation, where I was supporting the Cuban people. I was basically on vacation, so that's nice. I'm going to dive into, again, sort of taking what you know about Illustrator and Photoshop and showing you how easy it is to technically create puppets and just basically bring them to life using Character Animator. One of the reasons I'm asking this, I'm going to show you all these characters and what you could do with them, but I'm also asking you, like, if there's anything that you would like to see that maybe is not in the library of characters, because there's so many, but always curious as to what you'd be interested in seeing. And I want to welcome T. White in the house, who is live today. He is doing some Photoshop magic as part of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge on behance.net/live. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kind of dive into this action. And Joanne, good to have you here from Huddersfield, UK. Good to have you here. I've never been there. I don't think I've ever heard of it, really, till now. So thanks for hanging out, Rahil, and everyone. Welcome. Feel free to jump over. I'm going to be looking at the Facebook chat a lot. But basically, you have this as part of Creative Cloud. So again, right in here, you'll be able to sort of download whatever you want. You'll also see Character Animator animate in real time is what you're doing, which is amazing. I do not have this hooked up, and Terry's probably thinking the same thing. I can actually live stream me as a character from Character Animator. But I'll have to do that another time because I'm also demoing with the same system, and it gets kind of tricky. All right, let's continue. There's Character Animator. Launch it. John, I'm also curious if anybody has tried it as well. Would love to hear. Hey, John Arlid. I was just in Guadalajara like a month ago, so I love your city. Had a good time. Had some good tequila, per usual, probably. So let's kind of dive into this. Just so you know, I want to know who's used it. We can see all these different characters, right? All these different scenarios. Some are made in Photoshop, some are made in Illustrator. We can see right here with you start with this blank one right here. There's a blank face made in Photoshop, and there's an Illustrator version. So I'm going to launch this blank face in Illustrator. It's going to prepare that character, and then it's going to open up Illustrator for me, just like that. Okay, so good afternoon, Ren from Amsterdam. Oh, Dana Pride, my friend. Dana, I like you. Let's hang out. Javi, to answer your question, you can't integrate Fuse character into this. That's going to be more like 3D and will not be the same thing. Okay, so it's going to be flat characters, if you will, just like you can see right in here. For this character, by the way, we can select this stroke. We can see, obviously, it could use some color, and maybe we eliminate these. This stroke, maybe it's not a dashed line, it's a solid line. You get the idea, but I'm just adjusting this accordingly, right? So that's what I've done for the head, by the way. It's really pretty straightforward. But notice also in here, there's plenty of different mouths that I can click through and you can see. Okay, but this is just an Illustrator file, just like there is a Photoshop file. So I've just made this simple change, by the way. Maybe we'll change this stroke to maybe something darker like that. Let's go with that. Saving it. The hot style, if you want to make something cool. Actually, let's try this. I think I should be able to do this. Let's actually click through. I'm going to make some more modifications to it in a second. I'm going to switch over. It's going to be linked to it, and now we can see my character dancing around. And here he is on white. Okay? How's this character moving? Well, it's happening through, you guessed it, right up here, my webcam. Sometimes you might need to set the reset pose if it's off or wonky, but it's basically tracking my face right now. So cool. John, by the way, I encourage you to use it. You've dabbled with it. You can see how straightforward it is so far. And this is typically what you'll do is you'll modify that Illustrator or Photoshop file as I kind of zoom in, right? we can see my character right here. If I want to move him down, I can adjust the anchor point, by the way, kind of move that down into position and give him a whole body as well. Okay, from there, typically you'll hit record, and this is where I'd say, good morning and happy Monday to you, everyone. Good to have you here. I'm just a purple ball. I kind of look like a grape, but I want to welcome you this fancy Monday. And I've actually recorded that. So that's how you create animations in real time. Wilder, buddy, good to see you. He's also, well, actually, no, I saw you in Guadalajara, but you live in Bogota, if I'm not mistaken. So good to have you here, my friend. Czech Republic in the house. So it's so easy to work with. So if you've created any characters, kind of like I have, I've literally, I have so many, well, these are not mine, but here's a zombie version of me, for instance, that I've created a while ago. I actually even went through and created a good, 100 different characters as well. So I might want to take all of these characters, at least one of them, and bring them to life. So if you've ever said to yourself, hey, I'd love to have this sort of come to life, well, you can do that quite easily using Character Animator as I switch back over. Okay. Yeah, there's 1,000 things I can do. This is one reason, by the way, just so you know, top fan Obayed, is I actually, first off, let me show you a couple things. This is why I use illustrators. I think it's easier to edit the character as a whole, okay? And this is what I'm working with. This is the scene with blank face Illustrator, right? Well, guess what? That character, in fact, if I right click, I can rename that, but it's this blank face Illustrator puppet that I'm working with, right? So I can double click on that puppet and I can adjust the eyebrows and different things. I can, if I created a character from scratch, maybe I need to define what the left eye is and all that stuff. This gets really complex. I don't want this to scare you, by the way, because if we do a right click and just, this is how I usually do this. Reveal in Finder. Boop. Oh, there it is. There's my fancy blank face Illustrator file. So what do? Rather than tagging all of these, I actually open that up, and sure enough, I just make sure the layers are named correctly. So guess what? 2 times Maria, one of the best illustrators in the world, I would argue. But 2 reasons, the only 2 reasons you'd ever need to technically name layers, 3 reasons. 1, to not make enemies if you're sharing files. 2 is for Character Animator. And 3 is in Photoshop when you're exporting out files, because you can name them in PNG in Photoshop. But this is where naming the layers becomes really important. Neutral, smile, surprised, all that. This could be my template file. I can turn all this on. I could play with this. I can get really ugly with this as I take a look at, say, for instance, all these lines. Maybe I won't get too crazy, but I do think these lines need to be thickened. They need to basically be the same size, say 20 point. And again, you guys get the idea in terms of changing it. You get the idea. Okay, let's go on. From there, we get it. Now we have an orange. Save. I can add to this all I want because this is just the fake background. I'm going to hit N for pencil, right? Turn off that background color, hit N. Oranges don't really have stems, so let's just pretend that this is an apple. And you can see what I'm doing there. Boop, boop, done, done, and done. And I'd probably add a nice little highlight in here as well. Okay, cool. I want to show you some other things because this is super easy. This is like 1.0. This has not changed. I'd probably actually add a highlight in here as well. There's probably 1,000 things I would do, and this is where I typically, get creative and make it just look a lot better would be the goal. Okay, as I add a gradient. And let's open up the gradient panel. Change this to red. What I want to do is I want to show you some of the other features because this has gotten so advanced, by the way. It's kind of crazy. Okay, let me grab this line. Needs to have a highlight up here. Whatever the case may be. Something like that. Okay, good enough. Saving it. Maria would do something much better, I'm sure. But the cool thing is that there are other characteristics, right, as this updates. Can you animate a photo turned into a line drawing in Photoshop? Yes, you can, my friend. Check this out. I'll get into that. By the way, I was just using a PSD, or excuse me, Illustrator file. I can actually open up a blank face in Photoshop. The key thing is you have to go through and say, hey, you know what? Just like in Illustrator, you just have to have these layers named. And this could be a smart object, by the way. So I can go ahead and convert this to a smart object. The key thing, as long as this is plus left eyebrow plus right eyebrow, it will be fine. But let's open up some more interesting characters, because you're probably not impressed with those. Matthew Potter's in the house. Matthew Potter, did you know? Check this out. I know you do live streaming, Matthew. Whoop. Oh, it's too zoomy. Look, you can actually live stream these characters as well. You probably already know that. But there's that stream button. I was recording phrases. You can live stream. So it's a sort of live character animation. Let's go beyond this. Again, you mentioned Photoshop. We can have a Photoshop character that's more of a full body. We can see Chloe right here. And you can see this note. Make any changes you want. Save. Then switch back to, you guessed it, Character Animator. So if I decide I want to invert this color or change the shorts or something like that or brighten it up, right, there you go. Sure, why not? I can play with this all I want. Clicking back in, and we'll see those change. So this could be anything that I want, by the way. So there's a couple things going on here. This character, look, I can move the arms. So if you're recording, or even if you're doing something live, you can have the character adjust accordingly. So I'll click over to Rig, by the way, and we can see this hand right here. You can see this is the tag associated with it. It's just set to draggable. Okay, so let me just twirl this down right in here. Here's the modifier, draggable. So that's what makes that hand draggable. Same thing right over here. We'll see that this is also draggable on this side. Okay, the thing is, I don't want to scare you away with that. It's already hooked up for you, and you can do much more. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. See, thank you so much, Matthew Potter, for joining me on YouTube. Yeah, so there's an NDI out with native transparency. So just like I'm appearing within this interface is how an animated version of me can appear. So I really need to put together my character. In fact, I actually have a character of my own, by the way. Let's take a look. Here's Paul Zombie. Let's take a look at Paul Zombie. Right? So you take those assets and you make your own character. And I need to actually lock down my body right here, and I need to make some changes to it, as you can see. The voices aren't perfect. That's only getting better, just so you know. But we could see Paul Zombie right over here. Where is it? Zip. Guess what? You think this is a Photoshop file? You would be right. Winner, winner. Chicken soup for the soul. Okay. Here's the character. Same setup, by the way, as you create these characters, whatever the case may be. Everything's laid out appropriately. Even back to my original scenario, by the way, that's what I do. I'd take some of my people. I'd end up creating, you know, not this character. Where am I? Where is it? A character that I've taken from all of my 100 characters that I created, and we can take a look at that. And I'm drawing a blank face right now. I'm drawing a blank face. Yeah, so I'll have to take a look at where that character is. Doesn't matter. I wanted to kind of go into some of these other characters. The big number one question, Afroja, I want you to take away. Afroja and Kay and Matthew Potter, as well as Jorge and Dana and everyone, is like, what other characters do you want to see? We're making these for you. And I got an email that said, hey, you know what? What do you want as users of these products? What other characters do you want to see? I think it's important to know what these characters can do. And I'm sorry the audio is kind of a little hot. I'm sorry, you should have told me to turn it down. I think it's a little hot. But right in here, what else do you want to see, for instance? Not only characters, but even maybe some motion. Say, for instance, for this robot, there's actually a walk cycle. So you have left arm, you have the right leg, the left leg. It's already puppeted together, and he's doing his thing, right? We could see him do his thing. Let's take a look at some of these properties. And what I want to do is I'm going to change this right down here before you go asking me anything specific like, oh, he walks way proper. I know, I get it, he does. Let's make him slump, for instance. And now he's slumping. Let's reset the pose of the head. Now he's kind of slumping, or he's strutting. Yeah, and it's still actually getting the audio from my webcam, from my audio input, right? Or prancing, you get the idea. There he is running. Cool, pretty cool. There's more, right? This is all baked in. It's already made. All I need to do is jump over here and change this character, right? I typically just do invert just to make this faster. There we go. I inverted all of the limbs, his head. Where is his? It does take some time to get some of this, some of these elements figured out, like what's what. I usually use the command key, and then I'll click, and I'm able to locate that specific layer. And in this case, I'm going to select this one part because we need this part of his neck to be inverted as well. I've inverted him. I've made those changes. Hopefully you catch a vision for what he can do. But let's go on to some other things. Jorge is taking notes. See, look, and now I'm not saying he's better, but let's just switch up, and you can see there's his darker legs, but I can make him totally custom, as you can see. Okay, going on from there, we have characters that have all these like kinematics built in, and you have all the raw assets, even as I take a look at this character, right? What do I want to do? Let's take everything, let's go ahead and recolor him. Edit colors, recolor artwork. So many colors. So many. Let's pare it down to 5. Okay, let's lock these colors together and let's rotate them. Let's make him a little brighter, kind of like that. Sure, why not? Maybe. There we go. Cool. I just made the changes I wanted to make. Really, you could do anything you want. Drop in your own character. Notice the big thing here is that there's head, body, there's a shadow, there's a background right there. Okay, with that saved, going back into Character Animator, it'll load up and do its thing. Thank you, K-Chin. You are exactly right. You know this. The naming convention is the most important thing, okay? But you could see this character, guess what? This character has some kinematics involved as well, as I have him like hold on to these vines, for instance, okay, and bounce around. Same thing for any number of these characters. So there's more things that you can add. You can actually add shortcuts too. I have this ninja, by the way. I was gonna work with this ninja. But the ninja has like kind of the same properties, so I don't think it's like that big of a deal to review. What I did want to show you is how you can add shortcut keys. By the way, this ninja is cool because we have the side head movements, and then we can have him kick, yeah, or her kick, yeah, yeah, like that, right? This is that draggable element we were talking about earlier. But we can go beyond that, because I'd say the most complex one, actually, let's take a look at this, because I already have this fish loaded in. The ninja is super fun, by the way. This fish seems very innocent, but the fish, I think, is cute because it has little bubbles that float up. Okay, so there's animation built in. Guess what? You didn't have to do any of that animation. So if you're doing something like this in After Effects, think about doing it in good old Character Animator. So let's locate this. Here's this bubble, just so you know. As I scroll down, we can see some of the particles that are happening right in here. So let me just... Gravity direction. So this is what's happening, gravity direction. So there's a certain strength, but the direction, it's falling upwards. So I could get something actual gravity to where it falls down, but they were really smart here. They said, hey, you know what, the gravity, let's have it go upward. So if I just change this, kind of go maybe to the left, you'll see what that looks like, just to show you that as this little guy breathes, you can see the bubbles go to the left, okay? And again, that's just right in here, all of the various behaviors that you have. Snow, point and shoot, cannon is what's currently the selection that's selected. But let me show you one more thing, and then I gotta get going because I've talked for too long, and you're probably tired of hearing my voice. Yes, Kay, you can replace Kay, we need to talk. Kay, can you replace that face with your personal face? Yes. So many things I need to show. Let me show one more thing before I get into that. Right in here, I want to show this girl Heather. She's a wizard student with triggerable poofs of smoke and a crystal ball and various things. Yeah, so you can put some music to the character or voice. Yes. Let me go back in here though first. Here's our character, by the way, just doing her thing. I might hit a certain key. Actually, Z will bring up basically her hands, and then I hit C, and poof, her hat appears, and then we can see the magic wand kind of come in. And by the way, I'm just turning on and off layers is basically what's happening, right? We can see we can move this around. If I go into rig, this is where we get to see the animation. Dan Flores, hopefully you like this. Coming in here, it's going to be a lot of these keys, like the shortcut. Remember how the hands, the hands go up and down? So here's the hands folded, by the way. The arm sets, the arms folded, arms independent are going to be up here. I can turn that on, right, and see what those look like that. And you can see as I roll over that, there's basically a behavior that says, hey, you know what? Arm sets, arms are folded. Right over here off to the side, these are all done with triggers. Okay, not to get too complex in here, but I have these various triggers. So the foreground desk, which is what I was working on, the hands, this is with the Z key. I hit A key for the poofs, and then we can make her blink as well. So you can add these particular triggers to your character, right? To see that again, go into record. I'll typically have my trigger panel open. You can see it off to the right-hand side. We'll hit B for blink. Ready? Blink, blink, blink. Z for her hands. Let's not forget her magic wand right here, which is V key. Ring. And the hat up here, of course, is going to be C. Boom, boom. Cool. So I'm just turning on and off layers is all that's happening. So really cool. I think it's getting pretty advanced, but the cool thing is I just wanted this to be an introduction. I literally want you, Kay, just to take Chloe, for instance, like we did earlier, take her and then just replace her head right in here. Ready for it, ready for it. There's her face. Replace her head with yours. I promise you this is the last thing, but I'll talk about this another time, but there's also characterizer. So you can actually turn your face into a character, okay? So this is literally taking your head from your webcam and saying, hey, you know what? Go ahead and make me look like a bronze statue, okay? From there, you can actually add cycles. We'll just do head only, okay? And I'll hit generate puppet just because this is going to be fast, but I think, Kay, this might be what you're looking for. I've actually gone through the process of capturing my face in all these different poses that it told me to, and that's what it outputs. So again, this is characterizer. It's also in there. And now you know. So be the cool kid on your block. That's now bronze sculpture talking. There you go, Kay. Good, good. It's probably the easiest thing you can do as well. So, yes, have that bronze statue, have that calavera, if you will, that sugar skull. I don't know, if you live in Guadalajara, for instance, like Paulina Duran, for instance. My friend, hi. This is saying welcome. So this you can watch from the beginning as well. Since I'm just wrapping up here, I want to wish everybody a beautiful day. Really appreciate you. Got more coming as well. So stay tuned. Got some exciting things happening as we kind of head into the summertime. Hopefully everybody had a beautiful weekend. I'm so happy to be back. I can't tell you how happy I am to be back and see everyone. So with that, have a beautiful day. And hit me up. Follow me on Instagram. You can see some of the stuff I've been working on through that social media links below. But I just thank you for hanging out. And that's about it. So we'll talk soon. Thanks, John. Thanks, Kay. Thanks, everyone. We'll chat soon. Thanks.